Time to get into what I hate about Wuthering Waves. The man, the myth, the legend who has single-handedly, irredeemably damaged the reputation of Honkai Star Rail due to his incredibly worded critique of the Penacony planet. And what this gentleman did over here was shit on the game so badly that he got every other content creator in gacha gaming to shit on it too. And so we're gonna see if there's gonna be an additional sort of framing that he's gonna do on Wuthering Waves that might get people in that same mindset. But what I have heard is that this video, it was incredibly well made. And when compared to the critiques that a lot of other content creators have been doing, it's actually really well worded. We did see that Tectone had a little bit of an issue with some of the points being brought up. I'm excited to see what Ryuku's cooked up. What I'm trying to do is give my feedback, give my account on the takes, and whether or not I think that they're valid.
So I just ripped into Honkai Star Rail. You thought Wuthering Waves was gonna get a pass? Wrong.
He's an equal opportunity flamer.
Oh yeah, this guy's gonna be hard on Wuthering Waves. Have you seen his channel? He's a total Kurobot. You guys clearly don't know me. Time to burn my bridge with Kuro, I guess. So let's get into it. So just how much of a Kurobot am I? Well, I've been playing since launch and I have two accounts. One at Union level 75 and the other at level 74.
Okay, this guy is actually the biggest Kurobot I've ever seen. He has two accounts that are both UL 70 plus. This guy is playing this game like a fucking job. Holy shit.
Accounts combined, I have every limited weapon and character. What about Ling Yang? Oh, excuse me, sorry, my mistake. I meant every character that matters. Even before launch, I was really looking forward to exploring this post-apocalyptic wasteland. It set itself apart from the other open-world action RPGs that were out there or that had been announced. I was excited to see a more mature take on the genre. A gritty world battling against monsters that could take you out at any moment if you weren't careful. I was particularly happy with the variety of characters, both male and female. They were incredibly well designed, and I was glad to see how many badass-looking men there were too. They were so cool, I wanted to play all of them. Well, almost all of them. I'll stop bullying him now, I promise. My problems with Wuthering Waves started from the very beginning, like practically the first line I heard in English from Yang Yang.
Are you alright? Do you feel any discomfort?
Yeah. I mean, guys, let's be honest. One of the biggest critiques of version 1.0 in Wuthering Waves was the sort of disparity in the voice quality between certain characters. I'm not going to say it's an objective fact, but it is subjectively something that a lot of people believed. And objectively, you can say that even like the recording equipment actually for Yang Yang in English was kind of lower quality too. Like her S's are very pronounced and they last like a very long time. And it's almost like a recording equipment diff once we think about it.
Okay, so I know I'm not the first person to complain about this, and I doubt I'll be the last. But seriously, did the VA have absolutely no direction in her voice acting? Listening back to it, she sounds like an alien pretending to be human.
Please, Commander, you are our last hope.
Not only that, it was very clear that
that might be like a little bit far. It might be like a Gateo mic. Might be like the Gateo mic, the worst mic in gacha gaming. That led to that situation.
She was struggling with her voice lines, particularly to do with the names of things.
This is the statue of Jue, the sentinel in Zhenzhou, in the shape of a long.
One particular word she said sounded the same.
Huang Long, Huang Long, Huang Long, Huang Long.
I was sure they used the...
Okay, that's a little bit rough. If we kind of like copy and pasted the Huang Long every single place, that's a little rough.
Exact same clip and just forcibly inserted it after the fact. I actually compared the waveforms, and even though they did sound very similar, they weren't in fact the same. So I guess she just naturally sounds like a robot.
We are in the gorgeous...
Okay, Ryuku. I do believe that they re-recorded the 1.0 story and the voice lines are higher quality. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I have heard that some of it has been replaced, especially in the earlier story, right?
We are in the gorgeous spirits. It's on the outskirts of Zhenzhou, Huang Long.
These odd line reads felt unnatural, like she was gonna say something more. Like that. Didn't sound natural, did it? I heard that they redid some of these early lines, but at the time of recording this video, she still sounded as unnatural as on launch day. Changing to Japanese quickly solved that problem, so it wasn't too much of a problem for me.
Hey, did you guys know that Ryuku is from Japan? He understands Japanese because he's in Japan.
Though, to be honest, I can't entirely blame her. A lot of the names in this game are difficult for anyone not familiar in the Chinese language to pronounce. And even in Japanese, the kanji being used for the names is somewhat obscure. So without furigana, Japanese players had absolutely no idea how to read certain names. Even the name of the game itself went misread for a long time as Narushio, and I think that's what frustrated a lot of the new players. It's not so much that there was too much new jargon in general, but a lot of the new stuff which wasn't jargon sounded like jargon because they were putting everything through this Chinese nomenclature. I never really had that issue with the opening acts, so I took a look into to see what was being said. Tacit Discord, Monster. Tacit Field.
Bro brought the fucking Excel spreadsheet back yet again. He used a goddamn Excel spreadsheet to rip out Honkai Star Rail's spine. Oh my gosh, he's bringing it back for Wuwa. I'm actually terrified right now. It's last time I saw this shit, it was not good. It was not good, ladies and gentlemen. It was not good the last time we saw this. Kuro might be cooked.
Area, tacit mark, black thing on your skin. Etheric sea, thing up in the sky. Wave 1 phenomena. Yeah, okay, this one was a bit of a miss. Retroact rain wasn't important at the time, but got explained in detail later.
I mean, it's just rain that goes backwards. It's rain on the ground that goes back upwards. It's like in a couple of the trailers, you know what I mean? It's in Gion's launch trailer. It's just rain that's reverse. That ain't crazy.
Sonorosphere, portal, Thronodian, big bad boss monster. So putting aside the Chinese names, there was a total...
We gotta keep in mind, guys, that this video is about his opinion. And what that means is that the explained well piece is quite literally his opinion. We're not gonna take that as objective fact. And my opinion is that the retroactive rain is kind of just like, well, it's going in reverse, and then freaky shit happens when the rain starts going backwards. So I viewed it as like nothing too crazy, pretty easy to pick up, but that's where the difference in opinion comes from.
Total of about 10 pieces of new jargon that we had to learn, and a lot of it was kind of self-explanatory. But I definitely understand those who were trying to follow and memorize all the new names of everything and were getting confused. I get it, I really do. You're not wrong for feeling that way, I just personally didn't have that particular issue.
Remember, guys, disciples of Sanctus Medicus, the matrix of prescience. But hey, retroactive rain is too crazy.
Anyway, we continue through the story, meet Baija, Wood, and I liked how he eased the player into the combat. And if there's one thing that Wuthering Waves does really well, it's the combat.
Oh yeah,
I still remember my first time fighting Crownless, feeling like an absolute badass, pulling off all those dodges, counters, and perfect
look at
parries.
that. Look at those damage
And when the
numbers.
second phase starts, the amazing guitar riff comes in, and you're pulling off these really clean cinematic finishing moves. Oh, it just felt so good. Whatever happened to those? We never do this ever again when fighting Crownless or any boss monsters. It would have been really cool to have a particular finishing move for each boss, depending on if certain conditions were met. I'm sure it would have been difficult to animate finishers for each character, but honestly, I would have been fine if it was just for the MC alone. A little something to make them special. They are the MC after all.
That's actually a really great point. I actually think that would make playing them feel honestly amazing. Maybe there's like some advantage to actually using the MC. They maybe don't have like the highest damage numbers, the highest potential in every single bit of content in the game. But if they had a finishing animation for every single boss and basically slotting the MC on the team meant the boss has like only 90% health effectively. Okay, so Spectre MC has the finishing move on Scar. I think it would just be cool if every boss in the game, if MC is in there, they only have like effectively 90% of their health, where once they reach 10%, you can just use a finisher with the main character instead. That would be, I think, something kind of sick. And maybe like that kind of offsets them not being as strong as the limited characters, but still giving them a use case.
Then we continue on to what I think is the weakest part of 1.0, the fucking treasure hunt. So we meet Sanhua, Wood, and she gives us some items from Jinshi, a sugar pearl, a leaf, a mangosteen fruit, and a sundial. Okay, so like I said, I have 2 accounts, and both times I played through this part of the story quest, I was left thinking, what was the point of that? We were told to go out and find what the meaning behind these items is, but in the end, we weren't even the ones to find out most of the information. The sugar pearl, Baija finds out off screen. Sundial, Mortifi fixes it. And the leaf, Baija and Yang Yang just tell us. 3 out of 4 things were done for us, and the 4th thing was just us going to a harbor to be told that they get imported.
There's a couple of ways you could view this. There's a couple of ways that you could view this treasure hunt. The treasure hunt could be an opportunity for us to get introduced to more characters and have these bits of dialogue and actually converse with them and develop more of like who these characters are. And if we had solved everything by ourselves, then there was like the possibility, right, that we're just, I don't know, going on some adventure with just the 2 people in the party. I believe it was Chisha and Yang Yang. I think talking to the characters versus like hunting down random items in the overworld might have been better, but I could see where the whole idea of maybe too much dialogue comes from to solve the problem versus like more walking. It is something you have to do before you reroll, and so maybe some people have like PTSD from that.
Okay. Apparently that was supposed to tell us how the people of Jinchou lived or something. And at the end of it all, when we asked to find out what the point of it all was, Jinshi says,
An emergency forced me to leave, and I only had the time to prepare some tokens for you.
Translation?
I don't even have time to explain why I don't have time to explain. I don't even have time to explain why I don't have time to explain.
I could see where he's coming from, but I feel like it's also a bit of a reach. What we're told is that 1.1 is the kind of situation that she had to deal with, the stuff in Mount Firmament. And what this led to was a sort of like scavenger hunt with the NPCs that gets you introduced to them, gets you more context on the lore, and goes ahead, builds those relationships, builds those character dynamics. And so for me, that's a little bit interesting. That's a little bit, I could see where you're coming from on both sides. The tokens themselves could be cringe, but the interactions that came out of it, right? It gives you more of an overview of the characters and adds more life to the game world.
So she had the time to get all these very specific items to give to Rover, but she didn't have the time to write a damn fucking sticky note? Come on, you just don't get it. She had to do that to test Rover. It was for Rover to discover things about himself while looking into those things. Yeah, and we learned those things from books and people, not from those items themselves, did we?
The items themselves got us to talk to those people that gave us the knowledge. If we think about it from like that, the giga big brain perspective, right? You could say that these items were made to force Rover to introduce themselves to the rest of the roster and build their relationship with those characters, build credibility so that the decision that they make in the future or how they like lead the defense force and fix the problems is more justified. I know I'm playing like a little bit of defense here. I'm merely providing the opposition viewpoint.
Sorry, but no. In the end, it was basically, you've forgotten everything, so go to the library and study up, scrub. I'll say this though, even though the actual stuff being said was kind of stupid at times, I really enjoyed listening to the story play out. There weren't many weird dead spaces between dialogues. There was a good amount of changes in camera angles, camera movement, as well as the movement and facial expressions on the characters themselves that sounded like real people actually interacting with each other, in Japanese anyway. Sorry, I'm sure she's a lovely woman and all, but can you replace her with someone that doesn't sound like she's just recently had a lobotomy? The only thing I wish I could...
Okay, Ryuko. That was a little bit... I think that was a little bit too far, buddy. I think that was a little bit too far, buddy. That was actually a little bit offensive, if I'm frankly being honest. I'm sure Rebecca's a lovely woman, and I think she's improved the quality of the voice since, man. Arguably, that might have been worse than what I did with Vars. The issue is with the direction, right? I don't think there's an issue with the person herself, man. Guys, like, I'm not a dick for no reason.
I'm a villain, not a monster.
Do is put it on auto, hide the UI, and have it automatically select the dialogue options for me. Oh, on that point, stop giving us choices that aren't choices. Jesus Christ. Unless it actually has some degree of effect on how the conversation plays out, literally nobody liked this shit.
Well, Ryuku-san, I don't think you recognize that in Encore's story quest in version 1.3, you can tell Encore whether or not you're the captain or the vice captain, and then the dialogues in the quest actively adjust to your decision. She will call you the captain or the vice captain throughout the entire story. Did you know that one, buddy? I don't think you knew that one, buddy.
It doesn't make us feel like we are actually the character. It doesn't help us feel more immersed in the story. If anything, it pulls us out of the story to have to go through this unnecessary attention check. It feels like I'm watching a long YouTube video and I get a message asking if I'm still watching. I'm trying to watch a 10-hour loop of the Burners dance here. Do you mind? Actually, no. Now that I think about it, it's even worse than that. It feels like when someone asks your opinion on what they should do, you give your opinion and they just completely ignore you. I guess I'll just go f myself then. This isn't a Wuthering Waves only problem either. It's something that I have always and will always rage against whenever I see it, in every game I play. Please, for the love of God, just stop it. These useless dialogue options were especially annoying later on when we meet up with Jian. He brings us into the war room to talk about strategies, or rather he just asks us what we think the strategy should be, but if we don't choose the right one, the game says,
"Isn't that cute? But it's wrong!"
Time out. Why were we being asked to decide the strategy in the first place?
To make sure that we're paying attention? To make sure that we're learning? We have just clarified to the entire world that we're an extremely powerful person, but we also have no fucking memory. If I was working with somebody that was like really strong and like really capable, but they don't have their memory, I would maybe ask them like, hey, you know, are there like lessons that you have learned from our conversation? And, you know, kind of confirm that they have maybe regained some portion of their decision-making ability. I'm going to be honest. If they're literally an amnesiac, I would just be like, hey, like, are you sure you get this? Like, hey, man, like, you get it, right? Hey, tell me you get it.
You're the general here, Jian. You decide. But anyway, putting that aside, they should just get rid of these dialogue options entirely. Oh wait, no, actually, better yet, have them actually, you know, make a difference.
I don't think I'm nitpicking. I think he is kind of nitpicking a little bit because they literally, the dialogue choices did make a difference in that if you selected the wrong one, you would not advance the quest. That literally means the dialogue choices are different. You select the right one, you advance the quest, express, you know, that you're regained the knowledge, and then when you don't select the right one, you get sent back. So the choices are quite literally different.
Able to decide which forces went where. This could have been a great chance to keep the game easy for the casual players, but make it more difficult for the ones who want a challenge. Each dialogue option could have a little note next to it saying simple, moderate, and tricky for the player to understand what they were choosing. And after that, the route, monsters, and difficulty changes depending on that choice.
One of the big things, in my opinion, about gacha games is that a lot of these quests, a lot of these stories, they're not repeatable. When you have like branching storylines and things that can't be experienced twice, that could make people feel like there's like built-in FOMO in the game. In that if you choose this one option, you're not going to be able to experience the other ones, and players oftentimes don't really like that. Players don't like that they're going to feel like they're missing out on content. And having that built into the game would basically imply that you're missing out on content. So let's see if he addresses that.
Why can't we have done that? We're ending at the same place anyway. This was one of the main criticisms from CBT to official release, wasn't it? The casuals wanted things to be easier and simpler, and the hardcore players wanted things to be more difficult and complex. Why not turn something that everybody hates into something that everybody loves? Make these the points in the story where the player can choose what level of difficulty they want to try. So a casual player can stick with the easy mode or try the intermediate or hard levels every now and then, and the hardcore players could get the difficulty they want, but make it easier if they're not in the mood that day or something.
In my opinion, it's like perception of like skill, perception of like how worthy you are from playing this game. There's a dynamic, right? When you're somebody that plays the game on like the lower difficulty, it builds more of like that elitist mindset. And I know, right? I'm the most ironic person possible to be talking about an elitist mindset, but this is just how it works. When there's an easy mode and then there's a hard mode and then you choose the easy mode, right? Or there's someone else that chooses the hard mode, people that choose the hard mode and did it are going to be like, "Whoa, bro, you did it the easy mode? Get out of here, loser. Get out of here, bruh. Get this heretic out of here. How dare he choose the easy mode?" That sort of thing, right? It creates like immediate like sort of elitism in how they experience the story. And I believe that they might be just not having that in the first place to kind of like nip that in the bud.
You don't need to turn it into a Telltale's game. That's not what I'm asking for. Have your main plot points, but in certain sections have detours for the players to choose their level of difficulty. Sure,
Damn.
everyone winds.
Wait, let me replay that. Damn, he
Have your main plot
bouncing on
points,
that
but in
thing.
certain sections have detours for the players
bouncing
to
on that
choose their
thing.
level of difficulty. Sure, everyone winds up at the same place in the end, so it doesn't really change anything as a whole, but allowing players to choose their own experience at least lets us feel like we're making a difference. Doing something like this could satisfy players of all difficulties, easily. After deciding the battle plans, we meet up with the other characters to storm into battle. Verena, Chishia, there's us, the rover. Tauchi, we just met her.
Damn, why are these characters like looking kind of like good? Wait, they actually looked really good here.
We meet up with the other characters.
Look at that. That's some fucking swagger, actually. This is one of like the best like battle poses I've ever seen. Everybody here looks like an absolute badass. Holy shit, I didn't even realize that this is like how the lineup actually looked in 1.0. This is actually cool. Sorry, I'm glazing too much. I'm glazing too much.
After deciding the battle plans, we meet up with the other characters to storm into battle. Verena, Chishia, there's us, the rover. Tauchi, we just met her. Yang, Ling Yang is in the corner there. Who the fuck is this dude?
Come on, man. Put some respect on the Discord mod's name. Put some respect on the Discord mod's name, okay?
Like, I know it's Yuan Wu, the guy who looks like the last boss of both Discord mods and Reddit.
Oh, no, he did it. Oh, he did him like it. Oh, my lady. Oh, my lady. How dare you?
But we have never seen this guy in the story or even in the side stories like Ling Yang. Why the hell is he showing up for this Avengers Assemble moment? I feel bad for the voice actor. He gets brought in for literally one line and then never used again.
I will keep everyone safe.
Even now, up through 1.4, we still have no idea who
Kind of
this
a
guy
badass.
is, what he does, or anything of the like. Well, I guess one line is better than nothing, I guess. Carpaccio and Danjin are still nowhere to be
All right, Carpaccio's diabolical. And yeah, these two characters have sort of just actually disappeared from the lore completely. I do think that this is a huge critique that you can make about the game. What are they actually in the game for? I know their gameplay has like a lot of interesting components. Calcharo's like the hardest character in the game. Danjin is also like the skill fiend. Right, you have to play with a lot of skill to use it properly, but it's like, where are they? Remember, the game was rewritten. Remember that the game was rewritten back in the day, and I think that they are a victim of the rewrite. And it's unfortunate, but it is something that should be addressed and fixed.
found at all. And why are you bringing out some random painter girl who has nothing to do with anything, give her her own full story quest, but still not mention anything about the characters you already have?
Well, because it costs money to get her. That's why, Ryuko. They make money from this character. They don't make money from Calcharo or Danjin.
What are you doing? And this leads into one of my
We're making money.
biggest fears about the game. I'm afraid that they're going to forget about their older characters, except for a few notable exceptions. I get that the business model of a gacha game is to push new characters to sell to players consistently, but the benefit of that is being able to use these characters to interact with each other to flesh out the story and make everything feel cohesive and real. So bringing out all these new characters is great and all, but if you're not using them and just having us talk to random NPC number 342, it feels like a massive waste. I actually thought we were going to go to the new Federation next. Maybe then they could have used that as an excuse to bring Calculator into the story.
Remember the context from Cindy Mar's video that Rinasita, at least from what he's saying, was supposed to be in the launch of the game. And I think just them adhering to that original vision with 2.0 to me is, you know, kind of like the explanation here. So I think that this critique potentially could have been researched more using the same information that Cindy Mar had. Of course, if Cindy Mar was just pulling that out of his ass, not saying he did, but if he did, right, because I don't think it's a commonly known thing across the community, that could have been something that maybe he researched more to inform this line of reasoning that he's having here.
But no, we're going to Rinasita with a whole slew of new characters for the story to focus around. Don't get me wrong, they look cool. Would. But this is only further feeding my worries about the older characters being forgotten about. But I'll get more into my worries about Rinasita later. Since 1.0, the quests have been getting considerably better in my opinion. Definitely not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. There are significant pacing issues and missed story beats. I could make full-on videos breaking down what these two particular quests got wrong, but on the whole, they are a lot better. Now, I'll be honest, I don't usually enjoy character story quests, but Jian's story was incredible. Sure, it started off a little rocky with some Gullpuff racing game that no one cared about, but once it kicked in after going through the Sonorosphere, I loved every moment of it.
That's true. Jian's story quest was fucking fan service, ladies and gentlemen. People say it's like goddamn waifu waves. Jian's story quest, the start of it was quite literally, guys, it was like an otome game for the female players. Jian talks about his seed as well, and I just think it's a little bit disingenuous to a degree, right? When we don't mention him ever in the conversation. It was literally a date with Jian. Female players and Sip Sip Steven, okay? The gay guy. I'm saying that with factual evidence. Sip Sip Steven has gone into my chat and he has said he's gay.
Going through the past, learning what happened, fighting through the trauma, and then the great boss battle with the fantastic visuals in the final cinematic. Absolute cinema.
It was awesome to see that all of those dead soldiers are actually the Thundering Mephis. And then Jian's kit counters the Thundering Mephis completely, right? Guy does like 17 parries in a row. Jian is the auto parrier.
Yinlin's story quest was fine, not the best, but I didn't hate it. I wish we could have gotten more of the secret agent aspect of her character that was promised instead of this story.
Well, guess what, buddy? We got the Yinlin secret agent thing in version 1.4 in the Somnoir. You guys remember when she put on a disguise in the 1.4 quest and she disguised herself as an exile and then like went through like the whole sort of like dream sequence? We got it.
About a girl with adoptive father issues, but still, she's hot, so would. What I really like about these character story quests isn't just the quest itself, but rather the locations we visit during them. Have you seen these places? These set designs are stunning. It's a shame we can only ever visit them during these one-time only character story quests. What a waste. Why can't we revisit these locations? Better yet, give us the option to replay these quests. How about in this section in the gallery, you add a couple of little replay buttons in the corner. One to replay the cutscene by itself, and another to replay the mission, which could open up a Sonorosphere to travel through to re-experience everything with your current party. They can't do that, it would take too much storage! It's already on your device anyway, whether you revisit it or not. So why not just give us the option to do it? And if storage really is a worry for you, how about this? Give us the option to delete and reinstall past mission voice lines and data to save space. You can do it for the voice packs in general, so surely you can do it for this too.
The only problem with this is you don't want to make it too complicated for players. That's my opinion. If you're able to like selectively choose like all of these different like options for like what to access or not be able to access again, that can make it tricky in terms of like what stuff is actually like replayable, what you're actually deciding to take out from the game. What Genshin or Honkai Star Rail does is I believe they just have like a one-click button where it just asks remove unnecessary content or unnecessary voice lines from the game. And if you're trying to replay older content, you can't really use the one-click button.
Another thing I have a problem with. How in the hell can a game that has its main theme be about sound have that be one of its most lacking features? There have been a plethora of sound and music-related bugs and oversights since launch. Even now, when I'm fighting through a tacit field, each time I clear a wave, the battle music restarts from the very beginning. You don't notice it much when your characters aren't leveled, but once you've got a relatively decent Zhang Li Yao and he's digitally shredding through all the mobs, you hear the same 10 seconds.
Bro, your Zhang Li Yao is not well built. If that is what his liberation does, that Zhang Li Yao, ladies and gentlemen, that is not well built. Those are rookie numbers, buddy. I get what he's saying here from the elements of like the sound design. I do think this is like a little nitpicky. Because it's like, okay, you restarted the tacit field so the music restarts. It's like, okay, the music starts on the tacit field versus like the music would continue when you're not doing the tacit field. Oh, if that's a standard weapon, that's actually pretty good. Oh, we got to keep that in mind. This is wait, this might not be that bad. Oh, I see why. He's using lingering tunes. Yeah, that explains everything. Ryuku, that's another strike.
Yao, and he's digitally shredding through all the mobs. You hear the same 10 seconds of battle music over and over again. And that's not just for the tacit fields either. In the overworld, mobs die so easily, I never get past the initial build-up, if there even is one. Sorry, guys, but the battle music for the central plane...
But Ryuku-san, just make your characters worse. Just take some echoes off and you can enjoy combat in the overworld again.
...just isn't good. Especially when it's one of the largest areas in-game, we tend to hear how not good it is all too often. The other overworld battle music is better, yes, but it takes far too long to get to the good part, and by then everything is already dead anyway. The battle music for the bosses are pretty good though, for the most part. But I have a quick question. Why did you nerf your already great songs from CBT? For example, the Impermanence Harem had...
So to kind of like play back this point a little bit, it seems like all this battle music, all this stuff, the sound design almost seems to contradict with the speed of the gameplay, where I believe his concern is that this music is like starting and ending too quickly because the fights are starting and ending too quickly. I'm wondering about the solution to that, because it's like the battle's over. Should the combat music still be playing when the battle's over? You're not in combat anymore because the enemies are all defeated. That's not his point.
Mobs died so easily, I never get past the initial build-up, if there even is one. Sorry.
Oh, I see. And so the music is starting and ending too quickly. And so the solution for him is to maybe have the music start from in the middle of the battle of the track. What do you mean that's not the point? The solution here is to have more dynamic playing of the background music. Maybe it can like better fit what's actually happening in the combat. That's interesting. We'll maybe see if he expands on that point.
The Impermanence Harem had one of the best boss battle tracks in the game, and I was really looking forward to experiencing it for myself. How shocked was I to find out that not only did they change it from the Harem to one of the worst overall bosses in the game, but not only that, they completely nerfed the song. What do you mean nerf the song? How do you do that? Here, listen to this.
This plays, though, during the Jian boss fight with the Harem, right? When you control Jian for the first time in version 1.0, this plays. This is just subjective. I think both are good in their own ways. The other one was a little bit more high-pitched, but this one's a little bit more bassy and lower-pitched, and has like some other stuff that I don't know music enough to comment on it.
The one that we have now just feels incomplete, like it's missing a piece of the puzzle.
This is just his opinion, and we're allowed to disagree with it.
Like peanut butter without jelly, yin without yang,
Yeah.
KFC without gravy. What do you mean they don't have gravy in Japan? I'm British. I need my chicken covered in brown, salty slop, goddammit. Wait, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the song we have now is a massive downgrade compared to the version that we already had.
That's your opinion. That is entirely a subjective thing. We've already talked about it. Yeah, we'll just move through this point.
So I am quite literally saying,
the first draft was better.
I know what happened though. They got feedback saying that the players wanted the combat effects to sound punchier, and they did in fact do that. But the problem was that they could only improve it so much. So what they also did was bring down the impact of a lot of the music to make that difference more distinct. And this all connects back with what I was saying earlier about the other characters and locations not being used. Kuro, you spend all that time designing these great characters, great locations, and great music, but do absolutely nothing with them. From a business perspective, you're basically wasting resources right now. The way to fix these particular issues is give these characters actually some attention, first of all. Let us replay cutscenes and quests, and add a damn CD player with a library of all the music we have unlocked so far. Then we, the players, can choose what we want to listen to in the overworld.
Hey Ryuku, you wanna know something crazy you can do? You can go to your game. You can go to your game. You guys probably know what I'm gonna do. Ryuku, if you want your own music while you're playing Wuthering Waves, go to this menu, turn the music down, and play literally whatever the fuck you want. Just play the OST from the game that you want. Just mute the music and play whatever you want. Like, I don't think it's that crazy.
Just so we're clear though, I don't think the CD player should be usable during story or character quests because the music is a very important part of the storytelling experience. But in the overworld though, if I want to listen to Crownless's insane guitar riff while zipping around Jinzhou, that's my business. Yes, I know it would take away some of the audio character from the locations, but you know what you can do then? Turn the CD player off, maybe? Now it's time to address the elephant in the room. Gathering Wives. Okay, so where do I stand on this? Honestly, I'm not a fan. Now before you come at me with your pitchforks, just hear me out. What I mean is that I already have dozens of other random gacha games with generic cookie cutter OP protagonists that...
Rose over... Oh my god. Rose talking about... Okay.
the entire world revolves around and are loved by his harem of beautiful waifus of varying styles and massive personalities, I don't need another. Right now, I think there are 3 different groups out there. Some people see the harem and like it, some people see the harem and don't like it, and there's another smaller group of people that don't see the harem at all. They have some reason or other for each character. Yang Yang, she's just really caring. She cares for everyone like that. Yinlin, she's just a seductress using her looks to get what she wants. Changli, she's heard so much about Rover from her master, so to her, it's like meeting a superhero. Shorekeeper, she's just very devoted to the cause. She respects Rover like a father figure.
I think that we have maybe done a little bit too much of a generalization here. Just a little bit too much of a generalization here. She used to be a collection of Sonaro energy. Literally like energy particles. All right, I may be getting this explanation wrong, but like Rover is the one that like gave meaning to her existence. Rover ain't her daddy. She ain't her daddy like that.
Camellia, she's just interested in Rover because he's strong, nothing more. And the fact of the matter is that these people would be right in thinking that way. Those are all valid interpretations of the characters. However, for those out there that see it as something more or want to see it as something more, there are things in game which validate their belief that these characters are romantically interested in Rover. Personally, I'm in the see the harem and don't particularly like it category. Sorry, it's just the way I feel. We don't need to have every girl we meet be almost instantly wanting to jump on Rover's tacitite as soon as they meet him. On top of that, there's been a significant lack of new male playable characters since launch.
He does have a big point on the male characters. There just aren't that many in the game. That is true. There aren't that many male characters in the game. There have been hints of male characters that are potentially going to be released, like Yeshulin and Scar, but there just aren't that many in the game at a baseline. It's just an objective fact, right? We have Zhang Liao and Jian. Obviously, they're extremely strong, so it's not like a situation where they're sandbagging the male character's strength and making them like not good in content. They're still good, but there's not a lot of them. It's objectively true.
If a game marketed itself as primarily having female characters, you would sound like an idiot for asking for more male characters. You don't play Love and Deep Space and complain about the lack of female characters, do you? No, that would sound weird. The problem is though, in 1.0 there were 6 guys and 10 girls to choose from. That's a ratio of 3 to 5. Not equal, but understandable. So many of us were under the assumption that they were going to roughly keep that ratio going forward. They even showed us characters that have a lot of players eager to play them, such as Zippercrotch Boy and Mr. Anal Bead Necklace. Since then, we've had...
Is that truly what we're gonna call the esteemed Geshulin? Mr. Anal Bead Necklace? Bro, come on, man.
Jinshi, Changli, Zheja, Zhang Liao, Shorekeeper, Yohu, Camellia, and now Lumi is coming up. So out of 8 new characters, only one of them is a guy, and he was free? And on top of that, the animations are getting wilder and wilder. How in the hell does Little Miss Itty Bitty Titty Committee over here have more—
Dude, what the fuck? It's fine. Like, she's literally built different, and it's perfectly fine. Why are we gonna say that like it's an insult? Come on, man. She's just different. Why can't she be different? Different body types and stuff like that. It's fine.
more jiggle physics than Changli or Baizha? Robin, what do you think?
Okay, I guess from that context, yeah, hers might be looking a little bit more watery than others, but I mean, it doesn't. I don't even know if that's. Did you like empirically prove that, or did you like empirically prove that like one has more jiggle physics than the other? I feel like I'm not even sure if I could like validate either claim.
You grab a man's balls, his heart will follow.
Yeah, that makes sense, but I don't want it in Wuthering Waves. But that's just the way it is in Gacha. Yes, I know, I don't care. Gacha has always had fan service like this. Yes, I know, I don't care.
True.
Gacha OPs are always loved by the main cast. Yes, I know, I don't care. So what you're saying is...
You a Taurus? You a Taurus?
Yep. No.
I mean, guys, this man over here, Ryuku Sensei, we can confidently say that this gentleman really wants what is the best for Wuthering Waves. We can see that here. He is making these critiques. He's bringing up, you know, a lot of solid examples. And it's clear that this man, this gentleman over here, this resident of Japan, he wants what is the best for Wuthering Waves. And I could see how a lot of people thought that this critique was okay. This critique was something that people could resonate with. That when made in the public sphere isn't something that's going to get universally shit on. This is what I mean by the Wuthering Waves community actually being really, really good. What I've seen so far is that these critiques are fair, these critiques are subjective, but most importantly, these critiques are well thought out. And they provide context, they provide great reasoning, there's literal examples being seen on the screen of what he's going over. And through that, people are able to follow this discussion, follow this line of reasoning, and see, hey, Ryuku's coming up with solutions. Ryuku's clearly outlining what the problem is. And most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, content creators out there who are not doing this and have been proven to not be doing this, stop. It's not made up. These critiques aren't made up. These critiques aren't immediately disprovable. The basis of these critiques is not immediately disprovable the second you look into a game, or you look at the cutscenes, or you look at the numbers. The stuff he's saying can't really be disproven. And those are his critiques, and they make sense, and people agree with them. Or if they don't agree with them, they're not being like, oh, well, you're wrong. They say, I can see how you're right. And ladies and gentlemen, this is what a good critique looks like. It's really just that simple, folks.
I've been playing gacha games since they first became mainstream here in Japan. I'm talking about Puzzles and Dragons and Monster Strike. You know, the gacha games that actually had a gachapon animation that actually defined the genre. I also have 2,000 login days on Fate Grand Order. Yes, I know I have a problem. Someone please send help, I need it. Please. What I'm saying is, gacha is a monetization system.
This guy's an absolute freak. To be honest, he's an absolute fucking freak. Let's be real here.
That's how these games make money. Gacha has absolutely nothing to do with the amount or level of fan service. Even modern titles like Cookie Run Kingdom are gacha games. No fan service there, unless you're jacking off to Blue Slushy.
Hey, Tectone. Caught. Tectone, I know you like this shit. I know you got a thing for the fucking cookies. I know you have a thing for fucking cookies. Don't play. There's a reason why you was playing Cookie Run Kingdom for a really long time, buddy. You're trying to get up in that batter.
In which case, seek help. Also, would. I'm kidding. I'm not saying I don't like fan service, I just don't want it in this game. At least not this much anyway. Just because I enjoy spring onion in my ramen doesn't mean I want it piled on. Why are all my analogies about food? Am I hungry? We have enough of these Gooner gacha games already. I should know. Those games market themselves as being horny jiggle games meant to be played with one hand.
Better make sure I don't stay on this too long or I'm gonna get demonetized, but I do need to appreciate the view. All right, let's continue.
And when I want to play one of those games, I'll go do that. Again, it goes back to marketing and how they present themselves. Any new player might see an ad for Wuthering Waves and think, oh, that looks like a cool combat game. Let's check it out. And then when they play it, they have a harem of walking...
Please don't call... Hey, Gateo Island might have a new resident soon.
Jiggle physics around them at all times? A lot of regular players might get turned off by that, and I don't want that to happen. There are a lot of characters in Wuthering Waves that I think are hot as fuck, but if I wanted to imagine myself giving them crazy backshots, I would just check out Pixiv. And no, I am not advocating for censorship. All I'm saying is that if they and we, the players, want Wuthering Waves to break into the normie barrier, I don't think that many regular people would be comfortable with that level of fan service. So speaking as someone that wants as many people to play this game as possible, I think they should tone things down because it just might be too much for most people.
The fan service in Wuwa doesn't feel like extremely egregious to me. I mean, there are some characters you could say are like, you know, their clothing choices are a little bit, you know, but I think the fact of the matter is that it's not like implicitly like as openly goonery as he's sort of stating here. I think it is pretty tame. And we're seeing future character releases, right? Characters like Zany, who are on the other end of the spectrum, they got like the full pantsuit, that sort of thing.
I think they should tone things down because it just might be too much for most people. If Kuro Games really wants to go down this way with how they design their characters, that's perfectly fine by me. But to be honest, I don't think they do. Looking at the designs of the initial characters and the story and direction they had in CPT 1, yes, the characters were badass and hot with some fanservice jiggle physics, but I think that they also wanted to take this game seriously and not just push out—
Don't play. This version of Yinlin is ugly as shit, bro. Her eyes just are so fucked up. Yo, this is not it. This ain't it, guys. She looks fucking deranged, bro. Hey, nah, you don't like this. Nah, this shit's scary as f. You shouldn't have shown me that.
And direction they had in CPT 1. Yes, the characters were badass and hot with some fanservice jiggle physics, but I think that they also wanted to take this game seriously and not just push out a game for horny players to goon over. Just my opinion, though. To be honest, I prefer the dynamic—
I believe that the way that you're framing it right now, it's sort of like the version that they do have, the release version, is just gooner bait, but I don't really think it is. Some of the characters are a little fruity. Some of the characters are a little silly, right? It's not like incredibly on the nose. Like, you know, Changli does the whole like ada, you know, mommy thing. Like that's like her vibe. Yinlin's like the, you know, she's got like the kind of like deeper voice, more like succubus sort of feel. And Camelia's just a freak. She's a freak in every way. She's a freak in every single trailer to every single person. And then Shorekeeper's just a sweetheart. I really don't think it's gooner bait.
Dynamic in CPT 1 where Rover wasn't trusted. Think about it. What's more satisfying? Have the characters love you right away, or have them be wary of you, or even hate you, and you slowly win them over to your side through your actions in the story? ReZero is a great example of that. When we start off, Subaru is a whiny little bitch that isn't trusted by anyone, so he needs to grow as a person, and in doing so, he wins over many people to his side.
Spoilers!
Including us, the viewers. Let alone Rem, who is now his biggest simp, and let me remind you, she was literally murdering him every single night when they—
Bro, you're going deep on this, bro. Holy shit. You just low-key fucked fucked up the series for anybody that didn't watch it already. Hey, put a timestamp for like, hey, I'm about to ruin your ReZero experience, buddy. Where do I go to skip this? I get the analogy. All right,
First met.
fine, Ryuku, out of respect.
Murder. They could have used that trust as a vehicle to create more stories and quests in-game. Rover goes on certain quests to do certain things, and in doing so, slowly earns the respect and even admiration of everyone around him. And your interactions with the characters in the world changes as your reputation increases. This could have helped the world feel much more alive and real, no? But no, we went from this to this instead.
You got any other tricks up your sleeve? Like eating a whole tacit Discord?
I prefer not to get a gun shoved in my face 2 minutes into the game. Maybe you guys like that. I don't. I don't like that. Maybe y'all are a bunch of weirdos, you know? Y'all think about that? They changed it for a reason.
I heard the reason for this was because the scene community didn't like seeing their OP self-insert being disrespected. Is it true? Don't know. Don't care. My issue is actually with the gacha community and what they've been telling Kuro games. Mixed messages. You can't say that you want Wuthering Waves to be the Genshin killer by breaking the normie barrier while also continuously asking for things that would turn off that normie base. Of course, there's the niche crowd that don't want any filthy normies to come in and take their precious waifus. Something get filtered. But I have high hopes that this game would be the first game that breaks the mold and becomes the first gacha to actually take itself seriously. Like how The Dark Knight is a fantastic movie often cited as a great inspiration to many big names in the industry, with Steven Spielberg saying it's deserved the nomination for Best Picture. Until then, comic book movies were ridiculed as a genre with flop after flop at the box office. Sure, there was a hit
I don't think that this is the best example to prove your point. Games like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, etc., they make a lot of money. Hoyoverse is a very successful company. And so using an example of like a superhero dynamic where they all kind of sucked dick until The Dark Knight changed stuff up is not really as great of an example in my eyes to say that Wuwa is something that should change stuff up when it's the formula that they're using was already successful. You kind of get my reasoning on it? Like my viewpoint on it there. We're using like The Dark Knight here as an example of like how it changed and made superhero movies better. But then it's not like Genshin and Honkai Star Rail sucked. And so why was there a need for Wuthering Waves to change it when the stuff that was already in existence was good?
every now and then, but they were very much comic book movies. Because at the end of the day, it is an adaptation of a comic book character that looks kind of goofy when you boil it down. I mean, come on guys. Underwear over tights? How is that not goofy? There's a reason that they haven't had that in the live action adaptation since Adam West. And the one time they did kind of have it, it looked goofy as shit. Sorry Batman, you know I love you. But my point is that The Dark Knight is not just a great comic book adaptation of a beloved character, but also stands on its own as a fantastic crime thriller as well. And that's what I want from Wuthering Waves too. I don't want it to follow the same old fanservice tropes that all the other gacha games have.
But that's the thing. It's like they do fine. They do well. And the example you used is like a superhero concept where they weren't doing well. He's not talking about success. It's about changing things up. He said changing the things up was how they got success. When there's something that's already been working and is successful, using an example of something that changed it up to make it successful, I think, isn't as strong. I think there could have been a different example to use here.
You can't say that you want Wuthering Waves to be the Genshin killer by breaking the normie barrier while also continuously asking for things that would turn off that normie base. Of course, there's the niche crowd that don't want any filthy
So I guess the point that's being made here is about breaking the normie barrier. Genshin killer that would break the normie barrier. My belief, or at least my understanding, is that Genshin did break the normie barrier. Is it fair to say that Genshin already broke the normie barrier? And so if the Genshin had already broken the normie barrier, and then now Wuwa is using a similar dynamic in their design when the barrier's already been broken. I'm quite literally just like trying to work through your points.
Of course, there's the niche crowd that don't want any filthy normies to come in and take their precious waifus. Something get filtered. But I have high hopes that this game would be the first game that breaks the mold and becomes the first gacha to actually take itself seriously. Like how The Dark Knight is a fantastic movie often cited as a great inspiration to many big names in the industry, with Steven Spielberg saying it's deserved the nomination for Best Picture. Until then, comic book movies were ridiculed as a genre with flop after flop at the box office.
Okay.
Sure, there was a hit every now and then, but they were very much
some good
comic
ones.
book movies. Because at the end of the day, it's
okay, so comic book movies were originally like taken as a joke, not really something that I guess maybe a lot of normies would watch. It was kind of just like the nerds. This was for nerds. For like nerds, not for normies. And we're saying that The Dark Knight, because of the tonal shift that it had, it took itself more seriously. Now it's accessible to the normies. And Genshin to me felt like it had already broken the normie barrier.
My point is that The Dark Knight is not just a great comic book adaptation of a beloved character, but also stands on its own as a fantastic crime thriller as well. And that's what I want from Wuthering Waves too. I don't want it to follow the same old fanservice tropes that all the other gacha games have. I know this game can be better. I want it to deliver on its promises of a gritty post-apocalypse. I don't just want to be told that things were bad before. I want to feel the desperation and destruction. I want to feel the lament and watch hot, badass anime women and men while doing it. This is what we were promised Wuthering Waves would be. But instead we get this, And this?
I think you got like a little bit selective with the examples here. There are plenty of other moments in the game that are darker. You kind of just I mean, the examples here did seem like a little bit goofy, that's for sure, but it's not like the entire game is like this. Right?
This?
Like, I don't think the entire game is like all goofy like this. I do get what you mean by it being Looney Tunes, but...
And this? Now, I'm not saying it has to be all dark, all gloom all the time.
Yeah.
I get the point that you can't feel the lows without experiencing the highs, but my point is I don't think we've really experienced the lows yet. I think just by looking at the current map, you can see what I'm talking about. I took the map and divided it along the borders for each region. I then got how many pixels each area has, and then calculated how...
Oh my fucking god. Let me just take a second to digest this. Holy shit. Wait 1 second. We got the number of pixels, the percentage of the map, the destroyed, total, desolate, natural, and urbanized. Holy shit.
How much as a percentage those regions are of the map in total. These numbers aren't completely perfect as there are some areas underground, etc., but I think they're a decent representation. Currently, we have two distinct regions which really lean into the cataclysmic post-apocalyptic vibes we were promised. Northfall Barrens and the port city of Guizhou. But in total, they add up to just less than 30% of the explorable area as a whole. And this area is supposed to be the frontier standing guard against the looming tacit discord crisis. Jinzhou is also the most recently established city too, so we can reasonably assume that all the other areas in this world are bigger, more fortified, and therefore even more peaceful than this, right? Just our first glimpse at Renacita and it already has everyone calling it Fontaine. It's bright, vibrant, colorful, peaceful, and even has tacit discords that don't seem to be a threat. If I wanted to play Genshin, I'd go and play... Well, I'd never really want to play Genshin. Let's just get that first out. That's just first. But if I did want to play Genshin, I'd go play Genshin. I really hope this is a fake out. Like I said, I get the argument of experiencing the lows to really further appreciate the highs, but personally, I think it's just a little too early for Renacita.
Ryuku and I have had a conversation on this before. My viewpoint is that the 1.0 story has been just about devastation. 1.0 and basically everything throughout like 1.3 and 1.4, it's all about devastation or recollections of devastation. 1.0 is all about going into the Northfall Barrens. You literally have like a big focus on like attacking Dreamless like in her house and, you know, going through like this crazy like jumping scene where you're like jumping around in like this absolutely barren wasteland. And that's where the kind of like conclusion of the story is. And all you hear about throughout most of the story quests and all you hear about through a lot of the interactions, right, is how absolutely fucked up this region has been. There's just so much stuff that's going on. There's always like some chaos. There's always something that's honestly just getting fucked up in version 1.0. And to me, it's like we're kind of settling in on the aftermath of a lot of bad things that have gone on. And for me, it's you have a lot more bad stuff that goes on. And then when you get into 1.3, you have the whole recollection, right, of the port city of Guizhou and how it suffered the first lament. And we get to see it. We get to see the city literally crumbling apart in real time from the Tethys' simulation, where everything is going to shit. There's like a 3-minute thing up at the top of the screen that says, prevent the lament, or stop the lament. That is your mission task. And then you're on like a timer. You start like running around this building that's literally crumbling around you. And you are re-experiencing the destruction of the port city of Guizhou. And to me, that's a lot of darkness. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of implications of destruction, implications of loss of life, implications of just like stuff getting absolutely devastated. And they showed all of that happening in real time. They had you experience it. You didn't have a cutscene. You didn't have a dialogue. You played through that sequence. And so my viewpoint on the entire thing was, we spent all of 1.0 to 1.4 either experiencing desolation itself, the aftermath of desolation, or literally re-experiencing desolation from the past and then seeing everything just get crushed. Remember the very end, right before Shorekeeper's sacrifice? The city is like destroyed. Like you're at the roof of the building and everything is destroyed. And so my point of view is that we've seen the aftermath in 1.0 and then we spend 1.3 and 1.4 re-experiencing what has caused destruction in the past. To me, that was a fair bit of darkness. A fair amount of darkness. And moving forward into 2.0, I can see why there was like a push to have more light. Remember, opinions. This is Ryuku's opinion, and now I'm responding with my opinion.
Really should have gone to the New Federation first. Calculia is waiting for his story quest after all. But I don't know, we'll just have to find out what Renacita is actually like when it drops in January. Also, for those interested in my pull priority, Zani, Carlotta, Brandt, Phoebe, Rocia, whatever her name is. In
Rocia! Ferrero Rocher!
that order. Fight me. I know they got feedback in the CBT to make the world more bright and vibrant. I get that. but I didn't want them to make it any less destroyed, you know? I want to see more ruined cityscapes, more destroyed villages, more visual storytelling to show us a world destroyed by these cataclysmic events, and make them visually amazing at the same time. It has been done before, but right now there's just a bunch of open fields and clear mountains, which would be fine if they had more things to do out there, but after you've collected all the supply chests and title heritages, there's not much else left. And even when there is stuff to do, it's really difficult to find. I mean, just look at this area. Can you see the challenge point? It's right there. Duh. Here's an idea, Kuro. On top of the obvious of adding more challenges, puzzles, quests, overworld minigames, etc., how about you make those title heritages reset every couple of weeks or something?
Nah. Then we're gonna have like the whole, oh, the Genshin shows, they respawn. Oh, guys, go backtrack everywhere randomly in the overworld. Nah, I don't know about this one, dog. I'd rather just have the rewards that they would put in here in a different part of the event. I think that this would be like a chore. I don't like this one.
At least looking full of things to do, and make the mobs guarding them a lot stronger too. Of course, I would love more Astrite. I mean, wouldn't we all? But I know that would actually break the game, and they would make near on literally zero money. Instead, how about making these drop a bunch of materials? Bell poppies, lantern berries, whispering cores, exile rings, etc.
Just do the elusive realm. Bro. Get your 12 weekly rewards, easy money.
Kind of like a smaller version of the new feature in Elusive Realm. And like I said, make the mobs harder. How about you make all the enemies of these newly reset title heritages also all be elite enemies? I think that would be a really cool idea because right now everything dies within the first couple of seconds anyway. Actually make us work for those rewards to make us feel like we're in a cutthroat post-apocalypse, you know? Because right now the only thing we have to remind is that we're in some kind of apocalypse are the tacit discords walking around.
I guess my point of view on this is that Kuro already does something along these lines with their events, where they actually have like some things in the overworld that like spawn with the events, right? Like Ryukyu, you know like Rift Runner, the event that's in 1.4. If it's tied to an event and then it's different every patch, I feel like that adds a level of variety that wouldn't make it feel monotonous or old, but still gets that sort of like re-exploration of the overworld that I think you're talking about. And so 1.4 already has like things like that, where you have to go into the overworld to basically complete the event. And I think that's cool, and maybe that idea can be fleshed out more.
On that note, it's all well and good giving us 15 different ways to get echoes, but they're practically useless if I can't level them.
Just roll better.
Several times already, I've maxed out capacity in my inventory for these things because
I feel like we're all getting PTSD from this one. Wuthering Waves, ladies and gentlemen.
I have literally hundreds. I'm just sitting on them like smog thinking, nah, I can't get rid of this one. It's got the right main stat. It might give me god rolls. You don't know. No. I definitely can't get rid of that one. I have so many in my inventory, I actually think, fuck it, let's just scrap them all. But if I did that and tried to scrap even all 2,000 echoes in my inbox, I would get a grand total of jack fucking shit. Come on, man. I worked hard for these echoes. And to say that I can't use them for literally anything is just plain ridiculous. Allow us to use the unleveled echoes as XP fodder. Well, if your inventory is filled up, you have a management issue, don't you? No, I have an echo experience issue. My bag is filled primarily with echoes that I'm sitting on waiting to see if I can roll them. Currently, the only real way to get echo experience is from tacit fields. So let's take a look at that, shall we? This is how much
Ryukyu, real quick, do you mention merging? I'm gonna be honest, the placement of it is a little weird. I'm curious as to why you kind of led with, there's literally nothing I can do except throw them away. I just think the placement of it is weird.
No, I have an echo experience issue. My bag is filled primarily with echoes that I'm sitting on waiting to see if I can roll them. Currently, the only real way to get echo experience is from tacit fields. So let's take a look at that, shall we? This is how much echo experience each sealed tube gives. This is how much experience is needed to max a gold echo to level 25. This is how many sealed tubes of each type you need to do that. On your average run of a tacit field at Soul Phase 8, you get a total of 4 advanced sealed tubes and 3 premium sealed tubes, as well as about 5 new echoes. So the total experience gained per run is 23,000. If you use all of your wave plates doing nothing but tacit fields, you get a total of 92,000. 92,000 is a lot less than 142,600, isn't it? The cost per wave plate is 383.3, so you would need a total of 372 wave plates to max one singular echo. With RNG being a bigger bitch than my 3rd grade math teacher, I could get no usable echoes, or all 5 could be worth saving to try and roll on. But the fact of the matter is, when you're not even earning enough experience in the tacit field to level even 1 echo, that's not nearly enough. And that's assuming that the subsets of the echo are good in the first place. I'm not asking for enough experience so I can keep re-rolling to get that perfect echo with the perfect substats so I can min-max it as well. No, that's not what I'm saying. I just want enough echo experience so I can level 1 echo with somewhat decent substats. That's why so many people are constantly in dungeons in games like WoW, Path of Exile, etc. to get drops with better stats. If anything, the absolute futility of RNG in combination with how difficult it is to level echoes up is more of a deterrent for players who just can't be bothered with that insane level of grind for such little reward anymore. And no, these kinds of artifact systems aren't a staple of gacha games. Monster Strike, Puzzle and Dragons, Fate Grand Order, Nikkei, Arknights, Path to Nowhere, even Kuro's very own Punishing Grey Raven, all of these games do not have this system. But that would break the game. You could farm infinitely. RNG is still a thing, you know. Even if I infinitely roll an echo, I could still get dog
I see why you're running out of echo experience. Because we just raw dog slammed a plus 25, and there's genuinely an optimal way to roll your echoes to save a fuck ton of experience. If we do this all the time, and then we do this until we get double crit, I mean, you plus 10, you plus 15 max if the first 2 subs are good but not crit. I mean, it's like, if you're raw dog slamming plus 25 on everything, guys, I don't know if we can critique the amount of echo experience, because we're like wasting a fuck ton of it. When there's a method to save a shit ton of echo experience, when there's a method to do that and then players aren't using it, the problem is self-inflicted, right? You can get way better pieces using less echo experience, but if you just decide not to use the method and then we complain about the amount that we're getting, I think it's a little, why do I have a full set of echoes on every single person with a fuck ton of echo experience right now? You lose 75% of your echo experience when you feed it into another piece. And so when you're plus 25ing stuff and it ends up like this, you just wasted way more experience when you would have thrown this away at like plus 15 or plus 20. So I mean, it's just the point that I'm seeing here is kind of like, we did something that wasted echo experience when there are other methods not to do that. Leveling it to plus 5 and then rolling it, and then leveling it to plus 5 and then rolling it, that's not like a sweaty thing to do. Wait, are we trying to say that like going from plus 5, putting the tuner in, seeing what the stat is, and then leveling it to plus 10, and then getting the next substat, that's sweaty? We're calling that sweaty. We don't need to infantilize the player base like this. We don't need to like make things harder than they have to be.
shit stats every time, and I need to get 5 of these just for one set for one character, and there are 25 characters right now, and some characters benefit from different
I see a major problem here, ladies and gentlemen. Ryuku, I think you're gonna need a new set on your Zhongli Yao.
sets with different substats, let alone all the new characters, new echo sets to come in the future. Yeah, no, sorry, that just doesn't hold water for me as a significant argument in any game. I hate the RNG system, but whatever. Just
if you're throwing away more echo experience than you should, I would probably hate the RNG system as well.
let me use these echoes for XP. They're absolutely useless right now. They're not useless. You can batch merge them for more echoes. Are you not listening to me? I don't need more fucking echoes. I need the experience to level them, goddammit.
The main concern here is that you need more experience to level them up, and there are methods to spread the experience better, and you're simply not using them.
Plus it feels cost too much, don't drop nearly enough experience, and oh look, more echoes I can't level. Christ! Okay, now this is criticism not for the game itself, but more for Kuro Games as a developer. Okay, Kuro, what the hell are you doing? You started your very first special broadcast with very blatant typos. You misspelled headphones as headphones. How do you even do that? Just writing this script, I had to force my spell check to type it wrong because it kept fixing it for me. Seriously, just put it into a Google Doc and press F7. Some of these typos were pretty funny though, I've got to admit. Cooming soon? Is that another word for aging? Luckily, these were just little slip-ups, little whoopsies even. Nothing too severe, right? For everyone in EN? No, just more for eating fudge, I guess. But for us in Japan, we had an absolute fiasco with the Jian weapon banner. The TLDR is, the description was wrong on what the weapon does, so many people who spent money to pull for it felt ripped off. The backlash was so bad, it almost
Okay, Mr. Japan, alright.
killed Wuthering Waves over here in Japan. And here's what happened. The translation for this weapon was wrong. JP got angry. They said they'd refund everyone for the pulls. JP was happy.
Cool.
They leaked the email addresses of everyone who applied for the refund. JP got angry again. They then gave 10,000 yen as compensation. JP was happy. They then didn't refund the pulls and said, go talk to your credit card company. JP got angry. Again, all in the space of just a few days. From the outside, I felt like I was watching Sideshow Bob step on the rakes.
I guess this just means, ladies and gentlemen, Kuro Japan has some problems.
Anyway, my point is that these little things were still big enough to drive away many new interested players who now might not even give it another shot for years to come. I mean, come. Damn it, typo. But having said all this, does that mean I hate Wuthering Waves? No, I never said it was a perfect game, but there's a lot of stuff I don't like. I think the length of this video is enough evidence to prove that. But in the end, I still really enjoy it. The combat is fun, the characters look great, the story isn't the strongest, but they tell it in an interesting way, and this is enough for me. For now, anyway. To me, Wuthering Waves is like my favorite cousin. I love it when they come over to visit, but I just wish they would stop picking their nose at the fucking dinner table. Bobby, I love you, man, but you are 2 knuckles deep into your own nasal cavity right now.
Are you actually picking your nose here? Are you actually like just reaching in there, going for the fucking gold? Are you a San Francisco 49er right now? Holy moly.
Are you trying to give yourself a lobotomy? Are you auditioning to be the next Yang Yang? That
I still think that was too far.
being said, these aren't all the things I hate about Wuthering Waves. I could go longer into my particular issues with the Showkeeper story and the Camellia story, but I think this video has gone on long enough as it is. Oh, Jesus Christ. But if you do want to hear more about what I think about those particular stories on their own, then feel free to let me know down in the comment section below. And if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because that greatly supports the channel. And yes, I do also look forward to seeing all your hate comments. So until next time, I will see you in the next video. Peace.
What an absolutely devilish man. Overall, all of these critiques were great and well-reasoned. I can definitely see where Ryuko was coming from in terms of all of his concerns, and while I might not agree with everything, I can agree with how he got there. Let me know what you think about all of these different critiques in the comments section below, and see you all next time. Peace out.